All right, all right, all right. Yeah, let's hear for that video. And I think our crew from Threefold did that one, right? Is that a Threefold production? Yes, very, very good work, especially last couple of weeks when we could use some more uplifting things to see. And I think we're all very proud of our community here, and that video highlights it well. But well, look, my name's Tyler DeMars. I'm with the North Dakota Small Business Development Centers, and I'll be your MC this morning. Just getting through some conferences and being out of town for other reasons, I feel a little out of the loop at 1 Million Cups, so I apologize if I'm knocking off a little rust this morning, but we'll get through it, okay? So first off, how many first-timers here this morning? Got a few? Great. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Glad you showed up this morning. Hope to see you back again, and hope you got your 1 Million Cups mug out there. You might be asking yourself, what is it that we do here every Wednesday morning at 1 Million Cups? So 1 Million Cups is a networking and professional development event we put on every Wednesday morning at Dakota Stage Theater here. We put a different entrepreneur, small business owner, nonprofit executive directors like we have this morning, sometimes event organizers, pretty much anybody doing interesting and good work in Bismarck, Mandan, the surrounding communities. We're putting them on stage, letting them tell the story of what they're trying to accomplish. Then we're engaging with a Q&A session with them, asking questions, making suggestions, making connections for them, kind of acting as that community sounding board for that person, kind of giving them a community hug, community boost, and trying to give them the best chance they have to succeed. So the question we're asking every week is, can we change the face of our startup community by connecting local entrepreneurs over 1 million cups of coffee? All right, thank you to our sponsors. We have a number of organizations and businesses in town that support 1 Million Cups, either by letting their people spend time on the program, writing some checks, maybe purchasing a piece of equipment for us. If you know folks from these organizations and appreciate their support for 1 Million Cups, make sure you let them know that. All the way through 3 pages. Okay, as I said, after Aaron presents this morning, we'll do our Q&A session. So making sure as Aaron's talking, you're thinking into where you want him to go a little deeper. What are you more curious about? What questions do you have for him so that we can have a really good conversation after Aaron presents? Okay, first up, we have community announcements. As always, we are celebrating every day with National Day Calendar. Today is National Monte Cristo Day. Everybody know what a Monte Cristo is? It's a hot ham and cheese, but then you deep fry it, basically. So sometimes you can dip it in egg batter and fry it in a pan too. And there's some people put powdered sugar on it and like put jellies on it. It's really a hot ham and cheese kind of canvas that you can add a lot of other stuff to. They're delicious. I like mine a little sweet and spicy. If you can find a good jalapeno jelly and put that on there, it's fantastic. This is actually started by Bennigan's in 2015. They initiated National Monte Cristo Day, and we have a Bennigan's in Mandan. So if you're looking for a way to celebrate National Monte Cristo Day, you could go grab one at Bennigan's. They're famous for their Monte Cristo. Rumor has it that Sicky's on State Street also has a really good Monte Cristo. So a couple ideas there if you're looking to celebrate. And Marlo's not here, but it's standard practice for me. Another fried food that we have a national day for, Marlo. Okay, this is not helping to make America healthy again. We gotta work on that. But all right, Dakota Music Crawl. Anybody here? No, I think so. This is coming up September 28th, Sunday, September 28th. Dakota Music Crawl in Mandan at Dyke Shorn Park. They're going to do a Hall of Fame induction into the North Dakota Music Hall of Fame that day. There's going to be live bands all day long. I think it goes 1:30 to 8 p.m. on that Sunday. Happens to coincide with National Drink Beer Day, so there will be lots of beverages there to enjoy as you're enjoying the music as well. Should be a great event in Mandan. There's the QR code if you're looking for more details. Check it out if you can. All right, next up, Faith, Jade, or Jesse. There's Faith.
Thank you. Excited to join you on a thunderstormy Wednesday morning. So on Friday, we have an event called Next Level Leadership. And we're going to talk about three main things that if you have a growing business, you may want to attend. We're going to talk about marketing, how you cut through the noise and actually make a difference. We're going to talk about customer experience, making sure that that's repeatable and fantastic. And we're going to talk about soft skills and how they make or break trust and solving intergenerational tension. So if you'd like to join us, there's a QR code to RSVP, get some tickets. Hope to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you, Faith. And Faith, it is next week you're presenting here on artificial intelligence, correct? Yeah, so Faith is awesome. She's presented earlier this year, and she'll be here next week to talk about what's coming up for artificial intelligence with business applications. So. All right, this one is mine. So at the North Dakota Small Business Development Centers, we partner with these other organizations to put on what we call business builder webinars. And what these are is, so we have a network of 10 advisors across the state with the SBDC that provide no charge business advising to entrepreneurs and small business owners. We like to compile the list of the most frequently asked questions that sometimes we don't have the best answers for. And then we take those questions, look for subject matter experts that are really good in those areas, and ask them to do a webinar where people can participate live in it, and they're all archived on our website as well. But coming up, here are the Business Builder webinars we have on the calendar. So this is a monthly program that we do. Next up here in October, it's not even close to everything you need to know about HR. Michelle Comer, who's our former Department of Commerce Commissioner, now she started High Road Partners. Michelle's fantastic, and that will be a knowledge and wisdom-packed hour, I promise you that. After that, we have November 4th, Small Business Marketing. Laura Canis with Lauren Canis Marketing will be talking mostly about email marketing in that way. So if you're looking for some marketing ideas for your business, that'd be one to check out. And then December 9th, Business Entity Taxation and Understanding Taxation in Gifts and Estates. Sounds riveting, I know, but especially if you're doing any succession planning, if you have older folks in your life that have businesses, this would be a really good way to get familiar with a critical part of succession planning for a business. So these are all free. If those QR codes are pretty small, but if you need more information, ndsbdc.org/on-demand there, and there is a library of archived webinars on that website as well. A ton of good information, a ton of good resources for small businesses, and again, it's all free, so please check that out. All right, any other community announcements this morning? Yes, sir. Yes, I do. Kyle.
Good morning, Kyle Deberton. Anybody running in the marathon this weekend? Either the full marathon or half marathon? Anybody? Oh my God. Oh, somebody up there. Nice. Okay. Oh, well, you're going to get thirsty. And on Saturday, I'm helping, along with Thrivent, hosting a water station. And we could use a few more people to join at the water station. So Saturday morning, and I already got Colin said he could help this morning, but we could use a few more people. No special skills. All you have to be able to do is this and smile. So can you do this? And then you can yell water, Powerade, and a lot of cheering. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing more fun than watching people run. And those people that come by you first, they're fine. It's the people who are coming later that really need our cheering on. So I really need to count on you to be at the water station. I don't have a QR code. I was thinking about getting a QR code tattooed to my head to be used throughout the rest of my life, but I don't have it. But you could talk to me afterwards if you could help with that, or you could send a text to 5954321 is my number, 5954321. Would love to have your help. Then also, if you're going to be around at the Capitol, Thrivent has partnered with Wine to Water. It's a national group that helps with water filtration for people that are needing water needs, and we have a bunch of kits that we're putting together. So you could come, it takes about 10 minutes to put a kit together, and then these are going to be shipped throughout the world to places that water filtration is needed. So that's at the Capitol. Talk to me about either one of them. And I'm so excited for Aaron to be here. I keep track of how many times Aaron says Northern Plains on Facebook, and I'm up to about 7,014 times. So you are a big fan of the Northern Plains, so thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. And QR code on the head. That's, like you, I have a lot of real estate available up here too. So yeah, that's a good idea. Good idea, Kyle. All right, any more announcements this morning? Okay, if you or anybody from your organization ever has an announcement, that 1mcbizman701@gmail.com is a place to send those slides to if you want to make an announcement here. We'd love for you to be here to make that announcement yourself, but if you can't, just fill us in on the details. We're happy to make it for you. All right, without further ado, let's get to why y'all came here this morning. So this morning we have Aaron Barth, who is the Executive Director of both the Northern Plains Heritage Foundation and the Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation. He's also a trained historian and just an all-around awesome guy. We're going to learn some things this morning. It's going to be great, so let's welcome Aaron to the stage.
Is that the slide? Okay. And is this is on? Chewbacca? Can everybody hear me? Mic test, Chewbacca. Yeah, I'll set my beverage down here. It's just coffee. So, yeah, well, thank you, Tyler, for the introduction. As Tyler said, my name is Aaron Barth, and since 2015, or actually 2014, I've returned as staff with the Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation. And I say returned because in 2002 and 2001, it's either 2001 to 2003, everything blurs together. I was an interpretive guide in the summers out at Fort Lincoln State Park when we used to wear the wool 1875 recreated uniforms on a 105-degree day. So Kyle, I appreciate the feeding people water as needed. If anybody talks about the good old days, that is standing in a wool uniform in 1875 in 105-degree heat is one of the good old days. But yes, is it this one? Okay. I'll slide forward here. We'll see what slides I created on Sunday and sent off and what we want to talk about, right? Oh, there's my first slide. That's the same kind of a recreation there. 1 million cups, Bismarck, North Dakota. I did that so we all know where we are today and the date. 1 million cups, the prompt, when you speak here, they prompt you and say what to talk about, and they say maybe talk about your bylaws, of what your organization is or does. So I took that note and I was like, that's a good idea. So this is the very formalized bylaws that's in the actual bylaws, right, the mission statement. So I don't know if this is really effective for your elevator speech, but I'll just read through it, not because everybody can't read, but just to read through it as a group, a collective here. So the purpose of the Northern Plains Heritage Alliance, AKA the Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation, is to connect people with heritage education and heritage places along and immediate to the Missouri River in central North Dakota, and to maximize the educational and economic benefits resulting from those sites and activities. So translation, this is more of the elevator pitch or the elevator speech, right? So the cultural heritage of the Missouri River in North Dakota is priceless, and we embrace the communities want to embrace the river. Maybe we'll just change it to that in the bylaws. So prologue, right? Tyler said I have maybe 15 or 20 minutes. I've expanded that to 3 hours this morning, and we'll start with 1872. Dakota Territory here, right? But no, I wanted to start in the prologue because the present is, all the prologue where we arrive to the present, it's all prologue prior to that. I think that's a fascination with me with history is that the question that in my DNA that constantly comes up, well, how did we get here? How did we get here? How did we get here? And if we know how we got here, it gives us a footing in the present, and it also gives us a footing in the present to launch off into the future of where we want to go. So that is another real concise version of what makes my brain tick as far as heritage and history. And I know when I've said this before, people, we see nods, and when I first heard it, I was nodding, so I know it resonates through both cultural DNA and genetic DNA globally, right? People want to know, how did we get here, that sort of thing. So here's how we got here on the Northern Plains. There you go, Kyle, 7001. 1872, you have the establishment of Fort McKean, and then eventually it segues into Fort Abraham Lincoln, another memorial namesake nationwide for the fallen or assassinated president from 1865, Abraham Lincoln, right? And I just plopped on the very far right side. That's not anybody who was a soldier at the fort. That's from the 1950s, but I wanted to give a little touchstone of from the time the fort was decommissioned in the early 1890s up through the time when President Theodore Roosevelt deeded the fort to the state of North Dakota. So it went from the federal jurisdiction to the state of North Dakota during President Theodore Roosevelt's administration. One generation after another, all the way up. This takes us on the far right side to the 1950s with North Dakota Governor Davis. And this is an inside front cover of an opening brochure. He was the honorary chair of, at the time, what was called the Custer Fort Lincoln Foundation. And you can read through his 4 paragraphs there, but you know, we don't need to go into a big deep dive of Governor Davis, but this just gives you kind of touchstones from the time the fort was created to the time it was decommissioned to the time it was started evolving into a cultural state park in the 19-teens and 20s. I've been in research and seen in the 1930s that the late Evan Lips, who is a mayor of Bismarck and a longtime North Dakota state senator, he was in the one of the first 1930s Custer dramas that they used to play or produce out at Fort Abraham Lincoln. Evan and I knew Evan because I knew he was one of the guys when I went to First Lutheran Church throughout the 80s and 90s that he sat in the way back and talked technical shop about city and state policy while the pastor was delivering a very concise Lutheran sermon. So I miss Evan. But that just gives you like, okay, from one generation, where are you going with this, Aaron, right? One generation after another has always been invested on the Northern Plains, 7002, Kyle, with Fort Abraham Lincoln. And Fort Abraham Lincoln is tied to, what's our next slide? The Missouri River, right? Oh, it's gonna slide each time, okay. When I sequenced, it would just go, the names would pop up there, so, but now it's, the technical side is just sliding across, okay. So I bring up the Missouri River because Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation has always been connected with the Missouri River. I mean, of course, it's the state park now, but that park is inextricably connected to the river because back in the day, Fort Abraham Lincoln, you establish, or inland forts were established along waterways because you could supply those inland forts via steamboat with everything, right? Whether you're hauling horses, infantry, anything that needs to come from the Gulf of Mexico or St. Louis could make it to, seasonally, make it up the river to Northern Dakota Territory via that way. It's all before the railroad arrived. So we have the commanding officers' quarters. That was built in 1989, coincides with the North Dakota and South Dakota state centennials. Then we have the commissary. I'll cycle through these here. The granary, but it's always all attached to the Missouri River, right? So let me go back one more quick. Okay. So from 1982 to 2012, I bumped it ahead a little bit. Yeah, so we go 1872 to 1982. That's 110 years of every generation being invested on the Northern Plains with Fort Abraham Lincoln and with the Missouri River, right? So we sequence ahead. 1982 is when Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation, as a 501c3, established itself. And from 1982 to 2012, all these are just samples of the infrastructure that was built. You know, whether it's private resources, nonprofit resources, state and federal resources, the funding of it to arrive at this, and along with interpretive programming. But in 2012, the Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation and the state park said, mission accomplished here. So the Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation then said, well, let's take the mission beyond of connection with the Missouri River beyond the boundaries of the state park. We'll still invest in the state park and programming as needed and as we organize and that sort of thing, but let's take the mission beyond the boundaries of the state park. And so we have here a touchstone on the present, right? So this center right is the Missouri River Heritage Mural, and that project was conceived approximately 2016, and we ended up working with the North Dakota Department of Transportation and a whole bunch of other entities. We were able to leverage our resources, monetary resources, and we finally got the Missouri River Heritage mural installed in 2023. So don't ever give up, right? If something starts and it's taking 7 years or 8 years or 9 years, that is one definition of patience, right? Patience isn't just sitting there and waiting for things to happen, but it's that, my feet are kind of sticky or the stage is sticky, but slowly advancing it incrementally, one step after another. So we got there, right? And then we had a big community table event, and over 300 people showed up to commemorate, to grand unveil the Missouri River Heritage mural. That was August of 2023. And here's more of the present. So this is at the current Keelboat Park, which is going to be, or is turning into the River Commons, the Bismarck River Commons. But this is Music on the Missouri. It's an annual event that we also started in response to the community want to just be next to the river. Be by the river, be next to the river. And so Northern Plains Dance, they have a performance that you see being performed on the lower right corner here of the screen. And then this is, the Music on the Missouri was an event that we encouraged people to park and bike or walk to the event. And so other pictures from this show are mobile bike racks that we had, people bike to it. But yeah, we had a good couple hour celebration there. Here's another photo of that as well, right? People just bringing lawn chairs, setting up and posting up and being by the river. But what about the future, right? So past, present, future. Sounds like a Charles Dickens novel here, right? Or a short story. Ghost of Christmas Past, present, yet to come, right? So the future is the Bismarck River Commons. And this is the holistic overview, landscape architecture, image illustration created by, sponsored by the Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation in partnership with the City of Bismarck, the Bismarck Mandan Convention and Visitors Bureau, North Dakota Commerce Tourism. But this is where we've arrived at. And there's some call outs here. I'll just narrate it because we tried to get the text font even smaller than it is now. But so I'll start in the top left. So the top left, does this have a laser pointer, Tyler? Is that this one? Okay. Oh, right, okay. So this will be the community room, the restrooms, and the facilities office or management office. And within this community room, there'll be a rentable or a bookable spot for the community for up to 130. It can seat up to 130 people. We're always obliging fire marshal and fire code, that sort of thing. And then on this part here, it'll have men's, women's restrooms and an adult changing station as well. So a place for, we're listening to community needs too. That was Katie Johnke had that call out for the restrooms. Is like when, let's say, Pride or an entity that administers or helps with the adults who need that sort of 24 hours a day being watched, that sort of thing. They come down and enjoy our services in the community, but they also need a restroom, an adult changing room, so we incorporated that into the design as well. This will also have, we're trying to articulate how potentially a coffee shop would work down in the space in the mornings too, so when it's blizzarding out, either in January or February, you could still come down to the riverfront and maybe have a nice warm cup of coffee and watch the oblivion of the blizzard as it cascades over the river. Or in the summer, you can have your iced espresso, I suppose, and enjoy the 100-degree heat from the conditioned air inside. Additionally, here we have the Riverfront Walkway Boardwalk. This will be turned into Bismarck's first riverfront walk. So the Parks and Rec Trail, it'll peel off from there, walk over here, and you'll be able to walk along the riverfront. Another real developed variation on that would be like San Antonio, their river walk. They have a real nice developed river walk. We're getting there. We're not quite to San Antonio, but we're getting there, right? A programmable event patio here. You can't see it through the developed trees. Rentable gas fire pits will be here. Playground equipment too, right? If you have littles, if you don't yet have littles or you are around littles, they aren't yours, but you're around littles, you know how important that playground is. I have a 6-year-old who can spot a playground 3 blocks out, no matter where we're driving, at least. On the right side here, you have an interactive water feature. It says children's water feature, but it'd be a water feature that's interactive from grandchildren to grandparents and everybody in between. It'll have river water on this side in from the Missouri River, and it'll cycle it down this little creek into this water feature here that's about 2 inches deep. And so a hot day, you can take off your Red Wing boots and your socks too, and roll up your pant legs, and you can cool off walking through the water, and it's safe for the littles as well because it's a couple inches deep, and then that water cycles back into the river as well. That eliminated the need for a traditional or a modern, what do they call those, splash pad, which has a closed loop, chlorinated water system, right? So we're just utilizing the Missouri River. This water feature was developed too based off of when we had input sessions. There is one tribal citizen that showed up, and she said she always remembered her grandmother walking up to the edge of the river and getting her feet in the water. And so we took, it's an example, right? We took that back and we said, boy, how do we allow for grandparents to put their feet in the river water in a safe way still? And it arrived to this. So I'm just letting everybody know because I'm getting better at understanding that not everybody else knows the knowledge that's going on in my head unless I say it or verbalize it. So, catenary lighting and a band shell. So there'll be a band shell here as well. That was informed by several different institutions that do a lot of live music in town. It was informed by Laughing Sun, some of the folks over there, James Easton. It was informed by the Sibley Summer Stage folks. It was informed by the Bismarck Downtowners. It was also informed by gigging bands, like members who make up like Mooncats, right? Members of bands who, like, they do this stuff day in and day out. Richard Lone helped inform it as well, the lighting system. So from what Bob Pesky as well, former Bismarck High School band director, he said, hey, here's where outlets should go on the band shell too, right? So just a multitude of folks that are giving input to this. Yeah, and here's the River Commons stage and band shell. This is a elevation profile of it. It's fun to look at. And then here's an illustration of it as well, a rendering. I don't know who all these people are, but and then you can see the Missouri River right here, and then this will be visible from the Interstate 94 bridge as well. I think I'll just cycle. Oh yeah, here also we'll have this lighting, so in the evenings it'll be a lit up space. Here's an illustration of the River Commons community room. Classic round table setup with a banquet table up front. Here's an up close of the River Commons interactive water feature. That might be my little humans still wearing their shoes in the water. That's okay, shoes dry out. We're waterproof. And then the naturalist playground. And then that's right near the programmable lawn space and then the stage too, so you can imagine, maybe kiddos are playing out here. We see this play out also like at Bismarck. We see it play out at Sibley Summer Stage and other places where you have these events that organically grow out of how they grow, one season after another, and it's nice to have this next to this because the kids can play and the adults can also do what I explained to my 6-year-old as go do really boring adult things like present at 1 Million Cups. I'm going to go shuffle papers. I'm going to talk with another adult, and it's going to be not any of this. And then this just gets back to the future that is the Bismarck River Commons. So I know Tyler also prompted me and said, save time, Aaron, for questions. So we have 2 chairs sitting up here. And I'll leave it at that, but thank you all for enduring the Bismarck River Commons presentation here. Do I keep the headset on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Ross is here this morning. Hi, Ross. So Ross is on the mic mug. If you have a question for Aaron, Aaron and I will have a seat over here, and Ross will get that mic in your hand. If you want to ask a question, just raise your hand. First off, just ambitious community projects like this, and this is a very ambitious community project. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen on something like this.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We didn't just start this last week. And really, on that first or second or third slide, we really are just the conduit of what has been heard in the community, right? And so it was like in 2015 or 2014, maybe it was 2016, there was a big community survey done about what is a central asset of the community, and what else do you want to see in the community? We hear this all the time. We operate the Lewis and Clark Riverboat as well. We hear it all the time when visitors arrive. They say, what else? We've done the riverboat. What else is there to do on the river? And, it's like, well, there's some naturalist things to do, but what they're asking for is like a place to go and grab a cup of coffee and have a kind of an interactive experience in a public space right on the river. So that survey of the community too, like the overwhelming responses of residents here was, we have a section of the longest river in North America. If you're a riverophile, like a machismo riverophile, and you want to compete with Mississippi River people, let them know that the Missouri River is actually the longest river. It's, if you want to. But if there's some real like Itasca State Parkists here or Minnesotists, it's like, no, it'll always be the Mississippi to me. That's fine, but we all have to share our vulnerabilities if we want to get anywhere in a conversation. So, but yeah, it's
a rhetorical question too. We do want to compete with the Mississippi River folks, so yeah.
Right, it's a flex. It's totally a flex. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's a response. What we're doing is a response from what has been said in the community. It's known as a statewide, sort of thing that what else can we do with the river? So when we did a study in 2020 or 2021 and 2022, and we had over 80 different user groups that participated in the study, and it was basically an audit, a survey audit between Misty Waters and the University of Mary. And it was an audit in the sense of what public land is left that's right immediate to the Missouri River that we can still utilize for the community. And this was it. There's this spot, and then there's Steamboat Park, which is elevated. If like we still hike down the ledge as a family to go and get our feet wet, that sort of thing, in that area. But this was the spot that was still left in the public domain. It was City of Bismarck land, from Misty Waters to the University of Mary, that was right on the river. So just by nature of that, we're like, well, this is the spot that we have to use that's left. Everything else was either private domain, which is fine, or it was too far back, offset from the water. You weren't right on the river, that sort of thing. So, and it was also informed by 13 other communities on the Northern Plains. I think that's 7,008 now, Kyle. But it was informed by regional communities in the Midwest and on the Northern Plains, 13 other communities, and that Bismarck was evaluated in those other communities, and all these other communities had something. They had something on the river. They had a stage, they had it was like, wow, okay. So this informs also like livability in our community too. It's like, how do we draw and retain workforce, so young families, when they come and they pop in and they say, I'm thinking about actually living here, maybe working digitally remote in your office or your job or whatever, or physically moving here. Here's another asset. Here's how we utilize this community. Has chosen to utilize this spot on the Missouri River. So that's something that retired Police Chief Drauvik brought up when he said he's, wants to bring folks by. I know it's a new police chief now, Stugemeyer, but they want to bring folks by when they're interviewing and saying, well, why should I move to Bismarck? Why should I move to Bismarck, Mandan? This would be a place that they would bring them by. So,
yeah, absolutely.
That was a verbal dump. So,
good.
Yeah.
Is that Mike with a question there?
Well, I'll catch you up on it a little bit. 2016 was when they asked for the survey to be run, and 2018 was when the call for projects happened. There were 17 applications, but this was one of the things that was brought up in that time. and there were several on Mandan and Bismarck side. But two of the things, because you and I both get beat up on it a little bit, especially from that first rendering, could you talk about the flood mitigation and
Yeah.
answer the riprap question?
Yeah,
What we're talking about.
This is not the first rendering, but the initial rendering was really an illustration to provoke dialogue and to intentionally get dialogue started, right? So the first rendition, I didn't create it. It was created by a trained landscape architect, and it was illustrated and put out there to get dialogue going. This illustration here, yes, the riprap remains. As you can, the beautiful riprap, right? Yeah, that remains, and the entire project from the get-go has been informed by licensed civil, I'm getting kind of technical, licensed civil engineers, right? So their civil engineering permit, they're permitted to do civil engineering work and to inform work like this and to say, yes, this is a project that can be built where it's supposed to be built or where it can be built. And so to speak to that, Commissioner Connolly, thank you for the question. All city, county, state, and federal permits have been acquired for construction of this project. Our fundraising goals have been met. The project was out for bid, a bid was returned, and so now we're chewing through that between the one sole bidder and our project team as well. So there's a lot of nuts and bolts that are being chewed through. It's the gristle, that sort of thing, but construction will happen. But the project has been completely made and designed to accommodate the flood cycles of the Missouri River. There'll be aesthetic elements in there as well, so when people are visiting on the site, you know, like artists, right? Embrace your local artists, because artists have the ability to communicate things to us that, you know, are locked in our heads, and they can do it in a big, wide platform. Artists are also beautiful in the sense that when you look at art, if it's done well, you feel like you're a part of something bigger than any one of ourselves. That's one of the things I get from it. So art will be used in this to communicate that you're in a spot that's intentionally flooded or floods, and it's been designed for that, and enjoy the riverfront. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Connolly? Yep. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Joel has a question here.
I've got a question. I want to take this this rendering even further, because the part of the river that I use is on the east side of the road.
Okay.
So that brown area up there, and I'm wondering, as you develop this area, but there's already a trail system up there.
Is it the mountain biking?
Yeah, mountain biking and hiking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
would there be a way to connect this development to that bluff? Because really, once you get up there, there's, you know, a view of the river. There's
Right.
And I know it's complicated right now with the new rail bridge, but if there's still an opportunity, I'd love to see that.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that question, Joel, and I'm going to do my best to stay focused on the River Commons. But we were, during the initial study, seeking input from members of the Burleigh County Bicycle Cult. It's like a totally rad name too, right? Tyler Huber and Ian Easton, we connected and said, hey, how, you know, be mindful of those mountain bike trails that zigzag up there, and they're walking trails. I've walked up there too with a loaded backpack and that sort of thing. So I think those are future discussions that, you know, through the new River Commons that's emerging will be, I think those will continue to happen. I see incremental inertia happening here, yeah. Did I kind of academically and sidestep the actual question from answering it, but still fulfill you in some sort of way? Yeah, okay.
A question there.
Yeah, hi, Aaron.
Hey, Cara.
What is the timeline on this? What's it going to cost, and how's it going to be funded?
Yeah, what's your timeline and what's your budget, right? That's a really good nonprofit question, right? Yeah. No, all the budget is in place. All the grants have been in place for phase one, and getting technical, phase one of Schedule A, B, C, and D. So construction will be moving forward. It's a matter of, now in the autumn, how much construction will get done before the snow flies and then get picked back up in the spring. So we're ready to roll, yeah. Does that answer it? And as far as the budget, the first phase one, there's over $9 million that have been sourced or acquired for phase one, and the funding sources are from the Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation, from the Bismarck Mandan Convention and Visitors Bureau, North Dakota Department of Commerce Tourism via the Destination Development Grant Award of $4 million. The United States Department of Commerce EDA awarded our community with just under a $3.9 million grant award. So we've been able to bring over $9 million in non-city funds into the community for this project as well. So that's also, as my banker friends would say, that's new money in the community.
The economic development folks say those dollars are well leveraged, right?
Yeah.
Can you speak specifically to the timeline, Aaron? Sorry, Ross, you had a...
I got a real simple question.
Yeah.
What is the actual distance of shoreline that this encompasses?
I don't know like lineal feet or if we were non-America meters, but I can say it's the footprint of like the keelboat parking lot currently is 80,000 square feet. If that, I'll have to get a meter or we need a scale on this thing, don't we? Yeah, we'll have to get a scale on that. Yeah.
Ross, if you want to walk by the river, I'd join you. We could just step it off and see too. Okay.
Yeah, about 3 feet per step.
I have a very specific 3-foot step. So
Yeah, right.
The green space here, though, Ross, will be able to accommodate anywhere from 800 to 1,100 people in front of that stage, so that might help also with the footprint. And then on River Road, there will be parallel parking is worked into the design, so it's helpful to work with City of Bismarck staff and engineering on that. So we've brought parallel parking is always an issue too, right? Parallel parking will provide an automotive buffer between the pedestrian trail and the actual vehicles going on River Road. Right now there is no buffer. It's that very safe, secure 1-inch or a 3/4-inch steel cable, right? Yeah, it's not terrifying at all when you got a 5-year-old and you're walking up that River Road and the cars are zipping along. You're like, okay, kind of Mad Maxy. This is good. Yeah. So, Randy, yeah, sorry.
You brought up just what I was thinking of. Where do we park if there's a big event?
Yeah.
You've used up a lot of it. I suspect you get into the landings parking.
Yep.
The riverboat parking. Where's everybody going to park and how do they get there?
Yeah, traffic, the city engineer and such, thanks for that question too, Randy. The city engineer informed this, and so it does meet the criteria for parking for both the green space and for the community room and the building and such. I looked, and in combination with the landing and then this parking spaces here, there'll be, gosh, it's in the 180s as far as parkable unit spaces. And that includes the parallel parking on River Road. And then if events get really big, there'll be, on the front end saying there's parking at Pioneer Park, there's parking at Steamboat Park. There could be parking just up the bluff as well. There'll be, if we get a big enough event, which we will, we work with, busing or transporting people in on site. These are things that normal communities do when events get really big to get people down there appropriately. So, and there's ADA spots too. There'll be plenty of appropriate number of ADA spots as well. So
there'll be some logistics to work out with the bigger events, but for 90% of what's happening there, the parking there is more than adequate.
Winter, if you want to live here, you got to love it. You got to want it, right? So winter events, there will be stuff here, but we love being here. Yes.
Another question for Mike.
Well, I know on the first renderings and things, you knew you couldn't do it right away, but there was also talk about, and this might answer Joel's question a little bit, is the possibility of a walking bridge leading up to the Gateway to Science Community Bowl area. And now that our fireworks are going to be up there year after year, that might provide a pretty awesome amenity if we can pull that off.
Yeah, that's a great point, Michael, Commissioner Connolly, and I think it's just like what you say, there'll be innumerable event ideas that spring to life, that percolate. You know, we definitely don't have all the answers. We're specialists in certain things, but we're definitely not experts. But certainly, like the fireworks, that's something I saw that coalesce up at the community bowl now, and now we have fireworks along the river, and the emergence of this River Commons. The namesake of the River Commons, too, is a nod to Boston Commons, an early. Has anybody ever been to Boston Commons? All right, yeah. Beautiful spot, but it's a community asset, right? It's been there historically, so the same thing here for the River Commons, but.
I think more locally in North Dakota, like Fargo has their downtown square, which is well
Right.
utilized, and that's not on the river, but it's got the band shell.
Right.
Grand Forks has their downtown square as well. That's proximate to the river, but not
Right.
right on the river. I think this would be kind of our way to fully utilize our natural assets here and have that community space. That
Absolutely. Our river flows in the right direction too, right? So
That's right. That's right.
I love Grand Forks and Fargo too, yeah.
Question over here. Sorry, I can't see. There we go.
Thanks. Thanks, Aaron. Jan here. Question about, so you've got the funding secured, everything's all set, and clearly, like, you've got public-private partnerships. Who's going to be managing that space and programming it and overseeing? Like, is it, you know, in our heads or in my head, I think of shelters and
Right.
Parks and Rec manages those. So if you could talk a little bit about how that space is going to be programmed and managed.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks for the question. It's a great question. So the Fort Abraham Lincoln Foundation will be the hub conduit for events and managing the events. You know, managing as far as like who changes the toilet paper rolls in the bathrooms, right? Like who's mopping the floors after it? Who's setting up chairs and breaking them down, or informing people who rent the space that no, that's on your group to set it up and tear it down, but here's where the chairs are. Here, we're unlocking the doors for you now, right? Here it opens at 8 a.m. and then it closes down at, I think we'll cycle it similarly to the Bismarck Parks and Rec District, how they open and close their parks, that sort of thing. So those are, we have, a draft management plan that's being developed and created on that. And then, of course, everybody here in the private and nonprofit sector or government sector, you create a draft management plan, and then when the facility actually opens, you throw that in the river and say, okay, now here's what the reality of how this thing works, right? I see all sorts of business folks here in the room, so I imagine you know what I'm talking about, yeah. But it'll be a living, breathing management plan too, right? If something's working or something's not working, that'll be addressed, and the document or the plan can evolve as the community needs it. So our emphasis here, though, is going to be, a cultural park, right? A cultural heritage park that's connected to the Missouri River. So.
And is there the potential that the coffee shop would have a private operator that's managing that, or is that going to be under the city umbrella too, you think?
That's a great question, yeah. It hasn't gotten that far yet, but deep thoughts with, I believe you've been maybe a little bit of a conduit too amazingly, I haven't been on all the conversations on the internal ones, but we have subcommittees and that sort of thing. But Tyler has connected a little bit with.
There's been some initial conversations, yeah.
Coffee shop-ists who are trying to figure out like how that would work, right? Yeah.
Right. Before I get to you, Kyle, I just want to backtrack to Kara's question about the timeline. Can you you mentioned phase one, can you kind of provide some context of the rest of the timeline where phase one fits in with what's coming next?
Right, we'd like to see this thing, or the timeline right now says completion December of 2026, but that, in North Dakota, if you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes. Or if you do like the weather, wait 15 minutes and see what happens. So that construction schedule is based on that, but it could be, edited forward or edited back depending on weather and that sort of stuff. So December of 2026 is what we're looking at for an end zone finish.
For phase one.
Yeah.
So is it potentially this could be up and running next summer, or what's the rest of that? What is phase two?
Yeah, it'd be tough if it was fully operational next summer. That would be amazing. But I just think I know the nature of construction and how it goes. There's what we all imagine, what we want to see, completion, and then there's planetary reality. So it's all about managing expectations. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, so I'm very good. I'm trained in managing expectations. So
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's kind of TBD once you get through this first phase one.
yeah.
and-
What's with all the questions, Tyler? Just
Sorry,
kidding. I'm just kidding.
I just
I'm
wanted
totally
a little
kidding.
clarification.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all.
right, right.
They're lobbing you softballs.
Yeah.
I got to throw something hard at you.
I know, yeah. When's it going to be done? If there's a dopamine receptor that's asking your brain to get that information of when it's going to be done, right? When it's going to be done. And I'm trying to satisfy those nice little natural dopamine hits in the brain, but it'll happen. Don't worry. We'll get there. We'll get there, yeah.
Any community-driven project, there's so many stakeholders and arrows.
So many.
Pointing in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And those arrows often want to go other directions, and that, yeah.
That's a good prompt, yeah. It says note, Kyle's question, then last question. Or is that for us now?
Well, it looks
Somebody
like
said
you had a
yes.
thought hanging, but do you want to finish your thought there, Aaron, first? Then
What was I going to say? I can't remember, yeah.
Arrows pointing in the same direction.
Oh, yeah.
and-
So a project like this, we were asking, what sort of entity is supposed to take on a project like this? Is it supposed to be city? Is it supposed to be county? Is it supposed to be state? Is it supposed to be federal government? The answer is not any one of those entities would be able to just be the hub to marshal all these resources. Would it be a private entity, like a private for-profit? It's not going to pencil out in that regard, right? So it really, the nonprofit model was the model for this, and there have been, some rumble strips that we've encountered, that sort of thing, but it's not reality if you don't encounter rumble strips in anything you're doing. And so it's getting over those rumble strips or getting through them or learning from them. So the nonprofit model was really the model for the interagency, nonprofit, private sector, community input, that sort of thing, and life is a hobbit's journey, let me tell you that. So I was just going to get to that, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Kyle, did you lose patience? Okay.
Thanks, Kyle.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Kyle. Okay, so we're up to our hour here, so time for our last question of the morning, Ross, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. So, thanks for your presentation. I'm super excited for this to be here for Bismarck Mandan.
Thank you for saying that.
Community to enjoy.
Yeah.
So, what can we as the 1 Million Cups community do to help this project succeed?
Yeah, no, I think it's already, you're doing everything that you need to do right now to help it succeed. It's, showing up and, verbalizing that this is something that we've wanted, the community, I say royal we, right? The community, not just within here, but the community has wanted a way to access the river in the city of Bismarck, all 77,000 of us. More broadly, when visitors visit places and they want to go to the places that the local community members are already going to, right? Like what's the cool spot? So we listened to the residents and they overwhelmingly wanted this, and then now it'll be a draw for visitors as well. But what can you all do? You're doing it. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for the time this morning, Aaron.
Absolutely,
And,
Tyler. Thank you.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it. I think it'll probably be some day out in the future when we do get this thing up and running. We'd love to have 1 million cups there, especially when weather cooperates over the summertime. We could
Absolutely.
take that road, and that would
Yeah.
be a beautiful venue for this event. So
Absolutely.
all right. Well, thank you so much, Aaron. Coming up here at 1 million cups, we have Daniel Belinsky next week with Canonical Productions. He's doing another movie. Daniel's done a number of North Dakota productions, movies filmed in North Dakota. He's going to talk about his latest one next week. After that, we have Faith talking about what's next with AI related to how small businesses can use it. And then October 8th, we have an open date on our calendar right now. So if you or anybody you know are interested in presenting 1 million cups, here's our socials and email address there to reach out if you'd like to try to get on our calendar and get on the stage here. These are also the spots to stay in the loop on what we have coming up here at 1 million cups. And I believe that is all we have for you this week. So thank you all so much for coming. For anybody new this week, would love to see you back next week or in the future. And let's make it a great rest of the week. Thanks all.